All right, we got another one. Let's see what happens here.
At Detroit's Metro Airport. Can I see you guys' passport?
Detroit can be a tough port of entry. I've seen a lot of clients who have come through Detroit, whether they're coming through Canada or from overseas, it can be a tough port of entry for a lot of immigrants. So, okay, let's keep going.
Please. 2 passengers arriving on a flight from Nigeria are being pulled into secondary inspection.
So how long are you guys coming to the United States for today?
September 11th.
September 11th.
Okay, so we've got, looks like a husband and a wife or a boyfriend, girlfriend. They're already in secondary inspection. So for those of you who don't know, secondary inspection means that this couple has already gone through the passport. So they got off the plane, they got in the line for customs, they spoke to the customs officer at the booth, and they got pulled out of the line and put into secondary inspection, which means they're having this private meeting with this border officer after having already been inspected and questioned by another officer. It's called secondary inspection. It doesn't necessarily mean you're in trouble or you did something wrong. It just means that something caused a red flag and they need to ask you some additional questions. So these guys are coming in from Nigeria, and I'm guessing they're coming in on visitor visas. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my instinct. I don't really know what else it would be that they're coming in on. So let's see what happens next.
Have you ever been to the United States before?
She has not been on airplane.
Okay, so this is your first time here?
Normal questions.
The passengers stated that they were coming to the United States to visit his brother for a couple weeks. The primary officer noticed a lot of inconsistencies and wanted further inspection. You stated to a previous officer that you were expecting, is that correct?
Yes.
And so how far
She's
along are
pregnant.
4 weeks, but I just got to know.
You said you're 4 weeks?
16 weeks.
10 weeks?
16.
Oh, 16 weeks.
16 weeks pregnant.
How much money are you guys traveling with today?
Okay, when we have everything done.
Currently, yes.
So she's pregnant. She's saying that she was 4 weeks, 10 weeks, 16 weeks. I think she said 16 weeks pregnant. And they're staying until September 11th. I don't know what day this is. But she's got that big sweater on. A lot of times I've seen people do that where they're pregnant and they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide that they're pregnant. And so they wear a big sweater. I'm sure that'll be subject of further questioning as we go through this.
So that will come to 15,000, 980.
15,000.
980.
980. So when you travel with more than 10,000, this is what you have to fill out. When he's done filling that form out, we're going to look at your guys' luggage, and if everything is good to go.
So a lot of people think that you can only come into the United States with a maximum of $10,000 of cash. These guys are coming in from Nigeria with over $15,000 of cash. That's a lot of cash to be bringing in from Nigeria. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. You can come in with over $10,000, but you do have to declare it on the customs form. Looks like he didn't do that, which is okay because he's doing it now and the officer is being very polite with him. But I'm pretty sure you can do that online before you fly over to the States. You could complete that declaration or that reporting with customs that you're coming in with over $10,000, and that should be fine. So, okay.
Have you on your way, all right? Thank you. Do you have any medical paperwork saying how far along you are?
Okay, so now look at this. He's got the guy in another place, and the officer has the woman here alone, separated from him, and he's starting to ask her some questions about her medical paperwork.
Do you have ultrasounds on you? Do you have any letters? And the reason I ask this is when you travel from another country and you get on a plane, normally you need approval from your doctor saying so-and-so can travel. So do you have that with you?
She does.
So when I asked you how far along you were, you told me 16 weeks, correct? Papers telling me 25 weeks. So I want to ask
Whoops.
you why the inconsistencies.
Okay, that's not good for her. So she said that first she said I'm 4 weeks, then 10 weeks, then 16 weeks. Then she said 16 weeks, and her medical paperwork says, what did he say, 25 weeks or something? That's 2 months difference, 10 weeks, a little more than 2 months. So I don't know if she's lying or if she just doesn't know. Either way, she's not in a good position right now, because it looks like, even if she's not lying, it looks like she's not being forthcoming. Everything she's said up to this point has not sounded truthful. Okay, it kind of sounds like she's being a little shifty, so we'll see what happens. Do you see how she's wearing that big sweater to try to cover up her pregnancy? I don't know if that's what she's doing, but I'll tell you that people do that all the time.
That she was 25, 26 weeks pregnant. You know, when you go to the doctor and you're expecting, this is her first child, that's a date that you would know. It's very hard for me to believe that you did not know you were 25 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to believe. It's possible that you were nervous to tell me that, and that's okay, but I would like you to be honest with me. Did you know that you were 25 weeks pregnant? Yes or no?
So this officer is being very polite, in my opinion. He's being very disarming to her with his tone and with his questions. But I don't see that as a sign that she's like not in trouble. I think she's going deeper and deeper into a hole because she doesn't seem forthright. She doesn't look like she's telling the truth. It looks like she's covering stuff up. I mean, literally, she's like wearing a big sweater to cover up her belly. So this officer is being very polite. Again, Detroit can be a really difficult port of entry for a lot of immigrants. But this guy's being very nice, and he's even giving her excuses to use. You know, he's saying, oh, maybe you were nervous or this or that, but I just want to know the truth. You know, are you coming here to give birth? And so I don't think his kindness is going to go much further than this. I do think she's in trouble. We'll see what happens here, but it looks like she's not a truthful person to me. She's just not being very forthright. And again, that could be because you're just freaked out and you're scared. But this guy I think he's a pretty disarming presence. He's not very intimidating. And still, it looks like she's not going to be telling the truth. But we'll see. Let's just keep going and see here.
What is this? To me, the doctor told me that it's been 5 weeks.
The doctor told you that you were 25 weeks?
Yes, but to me, I know I'm 16 weeks.
Okay.
That's
So,
calculation, because I calculated.
so when I asked you twice how far along you were, and not once did you tell me that the doctor thinks you're 25 weeks, but you think you're 16 weeks. Little strange. I'm just trying to get the full story.
Yeah.
If you're traveling.
Her story, she just sounds bad. She just doesn't sound great. Her story doesn't sound good. The officer is, again, he's being very nice, but she's not in a great place right now with customs.
In the United States, okay, and you happen to give birth in the United States. It's legal. You can give birth in the United States, okay? But you have to have a way to pay for it. You understand? So insurance is my first question. Do you have insurance that covers the birth? There's no insurance you have currently that will cover maternity care?
No.
Okay. Do you intend to have the baby in the United States?
He's really focused in on the woman, right? He's asking the woman all these questions. I'm kind of wondering if they have different immigration status. You know, maybe he's a permanent resident and she's coming in on a visa or something. I don't know. But he's really zeroed in on the woman and asking her these questions. And the guy is just kind of, you know, he's there, but he's not really involved in this interrogation.
It's okay if you do. I just want to know the truth. Now that we're telling each other the truth, that's all I want to know is the truth. Do you intend to have the baby in the United States, yes or no?
She's on the verge of not being admitted to the United States. The officer is being very nice, but I'm pretty sure that she's not going to be coming in. she's also on the verge of, depending on what she says, of a potential misrep. Again, I don't know what her immigration status is, what her visa status is, but if depending on how she handles this and what she says, she could be faced with a misrepresentation. So,
Do you intend to have the baby in the United States, yes or no?
We're going back on Saturday.
Okay. So here's my problem. This amount of currency is not going to cover the birth of a child. You understand? I don't believe that you actually thought you're 16 weeks. I believe that you knew you were 25 weeks. So I want to know why you were not honest with me about that. I really want to talk about that, okay? This is the time to be very honest with me.
yep.
Were you afraid?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's fine. This is a very nervous interview. I understand that. So you were dishonest about being 16 weeks because you were nervous.
She's not coming in.
Weeks. We're on a fresh slate now. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Do you plan on having the baby in
Let me hear that again.
Like,
What'd she say?
Dishonest about being 16 weeks because you were nervous. You knew you were 25 weeks. We're on a fresh slate now. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Do you plan on having the baby in Michigan? That's fine. And how are you going to pay for it? And we can move on.
Okay.
So answer the questions, please.
Fine.
Yes.
So if she can have a baby in Michigan,
Yes.
fine.
Okay.
If we can pay for it. But
Very
if we
good.
cannot pay for it, then we leave it.
Okay, very good. Was that your intention when you guys traveled from Nigeria? You knew that. Is that right?
He's pinning him down on their intent. I'm concerned about a misrep for her. I don't think that'll happen. I don't know. I'll never know. But she is not going to be admitted. She's going to have to go back to Nigeria.
You knew that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, we knew that.
Okay, were you nervous to tell me that?
Yeah, because we didn't know what
No problem. Listen, I appreciate you telling me the
they're
truth.
gonna do with us. You know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to move to the next step. We'll figure it out. We're just one step at a time. What we're going to do now is bring them to the admissibility enforcement unit. They're going to further the inspection.
Yep.
Here, just follow me, guys.
There's no way she's admissible. I don't know about the guy, but she's not. What does that say? The male traveler was allowed entry into the U.S. The female traveler was denied entry for not having sufficient funds to cover a birth. Yeah, okay, so I don't know if she got charged with a misrep, but she got sent back to Nigeria. Is there anything else? Yeah, so that was a little interesting. You could just see from the start that that woman was not being honest. You know, just the first words out of her mouth. How far along are you in the pregnancy? 4 weeks, 10 weeks, 16 weeks. And then it was 25 weeks. And then it was, are you planning to give birth in the United States? And her answer was, we're only staying until September 11th. And she was just very shifty. She wasn't answering the questions. I'm not surprised this is how it ended up for her. It's too bad. I'm not sure if there was a way for her to handle that better. I mean, obviously it would have been better if she was just very forthright from the beginning. But even if she was honest at the beginning, I don't think the officer would have permitted her to enter anyways, because like they said, she didn't have enough money to cover the birth of the child. So I don't know exactly how much money that is, but they only had a check that was not signed. So, and I think the check was the $15,000 some dollars. So when the guy was saying we have $15,000 to declare, I think that was on a check. So they really didn't have any money, or maybe they only had a few $1,000s. I don't think she would have been, even if she was honest and forthright from the beginning, I'm not sure that she would have been allowed entry. I'd be curious to know what happened at the initial customs inspection that triggered the secondary inspection. I would be curious to know what happened in that exchange that caused the original customs officer to refer the couple to secondary inspection. But anyways, that's a good example or a good illustration of a case where that border officer could tell from the get-go that she was being shifty, she was not being honest. So too bad, because now she's got to get back on a plane and go back to Nigeria, you know, whatever she was, 4 or 5 months pregnant without her partner. So assuming that's an expedited removal, she could be banned from coming back for up to 5 years. I don't know what happened, but if it was an expedited removal, that is normally the penalty. It would be 5 years before she could try to return to the United States. And if she's coming in on a visa, like a B1 or a B2 visitor visa, that visa would probably be canceled. So her visa would be canceled, she'd be barred for 5 years from returning, and she'd be put on a plane and sent back to her home country. So that's too bad.